Fabulous. We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm excited to be here live with you all today with my friend Kim. And we're going to be talking about relationships, all things having to do with building better relationships with yourself, with others. And so, if you are new to me, I'm Jodie Solberg, and I am a certified master hypnotherapist. And what I specialize in is helping you to build those healthier, better relationships with yourself, with others, but teaching you how to speak into your own as well as into your kids' subconscious minds for better results, right? Those positive behaviors, healing things like trauma, anxiety, and burnout, embracing neurodivergence, and having more peace, joy, and harmony in your life and in your household, really helping you to have those, positive, unconditional feelings of love, acceptance, and attachment with yourself and those that you love so that you can have that better relationship all the way around. I know for me personally, I truly believe that it starts with your relationship with you and breaking those patterns and cycles of the relationships that you've had in the past that maybe aren't serving and supporting you. And so I'm excited today to have that conversation with Kim because she is a relationship mentor, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell you all about who she is and what she does. So, Kim, go ahead and tell them about you.
Thank you, Jody. It's lovely to be here with you this afternoon. And yes, I am a relationship mentor. And the next question is, what does that even mean? All right, so imagine it. You're in a long-term relationship. You've been married for a while. You've been with this partner for a few years, and you're getting to that stage of feeling like, where is the spark? The spark is missing. We don't go out on dates anymore. We don't have fun anymore. Life is just about the kids. It's one big long routine. We're almost like roommates. Sometimes we're co-parenting in the shared space, but where is the thing that made us, soulmates? Why did we think we wanted to be together? And that's where I come in, helping these ladies bring the spark back, the love back, the sense of support back to their relationships. And I say it like it was in the beginning, when they first started dating, but better now because you're older, you're wiser. So it can be even better than it was back then, even if it looks different. So that is what I do. Um, and Jody, I know we also talked about, one of the other areas that I focus on is with my background is in Latin American history and Spanish lecturing. So I actually do work with, couples in cross-cultural relationships and bridging those gaps, because very often what we are perceiving as communication barriers and language barriers are actually just regular old relationship issues. So they can be overcome. Um, and I know that's one of the things we're talking about today, and I really liked how your focus is on the person first, bettering your relationship with yourself. Because that is where it starts. I think sometimes we forget that our relationships, they aren't independent entities. They're actually made up of two people, and we are a whole half of it, which means that any changes that we make in our relationship profoundly impact the trajectory of it. So,
Yeah.
what can I do for me to be a happier, healthier, whole me, and how will that impact my relationship? I think that's a powerful thought to kind of keep at all times. Um, I know, Jody, like in your work, like how have you seen that? Have you seen that come up or see
Mm-hmm.
that pattern?
Oh, absolutely. It comes up in all ways. So if they're already in a relationship, if they're working on themselves so that
Mhm.
they can attract a healthy relationship, breaking those cycles of those habits and those patterns of any kind of negative
That's
thoughts and beliefs, right, about ourselves and about how we interact. And sometimes we get in these ruts of these patterns of well, I know if I say this and then they're going to say that, and we get in this pattern that
Mm-hmm.
we first just need to be aware of, right? Being
That's
aware
it.
of the fact that we're, like you said, 50% of a partnership here, and we both are bringing our own stuff into it. And so, yeah, exactly. All the stuff, all of our history, all of our past relationships, our childhoods, like all these things we're bringing into it. And so, like you said, if we can be working on ourselves and strengthening that relationship that we have with ourselves and being aware of our
Mhm.
patterns, bringing aware of our stuff that we're bringing into the relationship, being aware of our own self talk
Yeah.
and our beliefs that might not be serving and supporting us or our relationship,
Yeah.
that's really going to make a huge difference on how we're showing up and how we can choose how to respond versus
Mhm.
react. Because that's a huge part of when I'm working with
That's
people on their
it.
relationships. Yeah, it's like their relationship with themselves, and then also with those thoughts and with those patterns, slowing that down, being aware of it and saying, okay,
Yeah.
when this happens, I can choose to respond a different way, and then that is going to give the other person an opportunity to do the same, versus
Exactly.
just going right back into it again. Yeah, I'm sure you see that a lot too.
Exactly. Exactly. As you said, am I going to choose to respond a different way? And it's that moment, taking that moment to just pause. And it's
Yeah,
not an easy thing to do. And I know when you are in the patterns and your
yeah,
patterns you just fall back into easy, easy, easy. But finding the moment changes the result. And it's not going to happen every single time. It takes a while to rewire your brain to get you to the point of being
mhm.
able to take those pauses and to slow down. I just wanted to kind of also add, you talk about, if I say a particular thing, then they are going to respond in this way. And sometimes I know I have been guilty of this. You manage to have an entire conversation in your own head.
Uh-huh. I do. We're like, we think ahead of like, well, I'm not even going to try this because then that's going to happen and then this is going to happen. It's like, let's
Exactly.
examine that a little bit because we tell ourselves these stories and it doesn't always have to be that way. It doesn't have to play out that way.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I know we're kind of belaboring the point about, starting with yourself first, but
Mhm.
I cannot underscore the importance of it. Okay. And like, for example, one of the things that comes up. So our big issue is disconnect in relationships, all right? And I always say when we're talking about things like disconnect and what is connection, what does it mean for you? So some people will say, well, connection actually means closeness. And then I say, okay, fine. What does closeness mean to you? And then going into that explanation of um, what does closeness feel like and sound like, and how does closeness act? Because we have to know what those things are to know if we are experiencing the things that we want to experience. But here's an interesting thing. Although we're having a conversation around, how to build closeness with our partners, one of the things that's very important in that area is what are you doing for yourself?
Mhm.
So, yes, we can talk about all the things that you can do together and the things that you can show to each other. But I think very important as well is how are you filling up your own cup? And I'm sure, if you're in Jodie's space, you've heard that expression, the idea of, what are you doing for yourself? Filling yourself up, cherishing yourself, that sense of self-care, because self-care is such a huge topic and encompasses so many different aspects. But what are you doing for you? And when I say that, yes, I do mean what are the activities you are engaging in that you're not doing it for anybody else, but simply because you want to, because you enjoy it. All right. Where are you getting your fulfillment um, outside of your relationship? Why I am asking that is because we have sometimes a tendency to try to make our partners everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we put that pressure on our partners, one, it's unfair to do that to them. But then, two, that's not an expectation they can really live up to. So then we feel resentful because we're not getting out of this relationship this thing that we think we want. And interestingly enough, just today, I was talking to another group, and one of the things that we covered was this idea of, is your partner meant to be your best friend? So if you Google my spouse, or spouse and best friend, you are going to find tons of things that come up telling you the best relationships are where the partners are best friends. The most long living, the relationships with the most longevity are where you're friends first. You're going to see tons of social media posts about 10 years with my best friend, wouldn't have it any other way. All those sorts of things. Now, here's again where I think, interpretations and definitions are important. When you say best friend, what do you mean? And so there's this relationship expert, Jodie. I don't know if you've come across any of her work, Esther Perel.
Yes.
So now Esther Perel has, oh my gosh, I always like to look at things that she says compared to like what John Gottman says, because they actually come from very different perspectives with the same goal, and they both achieve the same results. It's just depends on the people involved. But one of the things that she talks about is this idea of not turning our partners into our best friends. And she says where some of this may come from is it's that we are living in societies now where we have lost our villages. We talk about it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to build a business, it takes a village. We are meant to be in community. Today, we live in busy cities, we live in busy towns, we live with a lot of other people around, yet levels of depression and loneliness are higher than it has ever been. What is happening too is that we are creating little islands within our own families. But what that can mean for your partner now is that you're putting a lot of expectations on them to meet needs that previously would have been met by multiple people in your lives. And this is where things can get a little bit hairy, because your partner was never meant to be that for you, and you were not meant to be that for them. And if you are trying to be everything for your partner, aren't you tired? So yes, in terms of like building up a sense of togetherness and closeness with your partner, actually one of the best things you can do is to have your own interests and your own, and I don't just mean hobbies, but your own activities that you can do on your own that fill you up, that validate you, that fulfill you in a particular way. And then you and your partner come together and you are refreshed in a different sort of way. And now you can work on the other aspects of the togetherness puzzle, the dates, the shared activities, the longer conversations, you know. I think, again, when we think about, closeness and we think about togetherness, one of the places our brain automatically goes is date nights. And I'm a fan of date night. I always say, yes, you should date your mate. But I'm again going to ask you to define what this date night means to you. Because what is it? If it's just the thing you're supposed to do because everybody tells you you're supposed to have a date night, then that's not it.
Yeah, it's just like another check mark on the to-do list, and that's not what it's about.
It's not. I mean, again, and that just gets exhausting, because doing it for the sake of doing it, and you're not getting the real juice out of it. The date night, the purpose of the date night, and again, don't get tied up with that word night. If your kids are in school during the day and you and your partner actually have the time to go out together during the day, go out during the day. It doesn't have to be at nighttime. You want high quality connection points. That's what the date is. Like when I say things like date your mate, I'm not talking about dinner and a movie every Tuesday night. I am talking about making sure you have moments in your day, in your week, in your month where you are connecting, no distractions. It's high quality, intentional time together. For some of us, depending on our stages in life, it means that, going out once a week or even every other week is really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine.
Sometimes, yeah.
Exactly. But you can work around it. What I don't want you to do though, okay, I'm trying to say this as gently as possible. Don't buy into the social media hype that, oh, it's just a stage, and give yourself the grace. You know what? You don't want this stage to become a permanent season.
Good point.
I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not telling you this for you to feel like, oh gosh, she's just giving me another burden to carry. It's not that. It's don't fool yourself into complacency about your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You may not be able to go spend 3 hours out dancing. That's okay. But what can you do? You might do like what my husband and I used to do, which is like escape our house for 5 minutes to walk the trash to the corner and
Mm-hmm.
come back home. I mean, I cannot tell you how yes, it was less than 10 minutes, to walk the trash out to where we had to do. And we would lock the door very quietly so that no children would appear on their scooters to follow us down the street. We would have no plan. It was just like this moment of escape for the two of us. And
Mm-hmm.
there were just always these random conversations that usually had nothing to do with the children. That was just actually, I cannot describe to you how or why it happened. But that was like those little stolen moments for us were actually really precious. And
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I remember very easily because of although it was such a short time, I really felt close to him in those moments. That's what you want to get. Moments of connection. Um, you come home on an evening, whether you're both away from home or one of you is at home. Something as simple as greeting each other when you see each other at the end of the day. Yes, you
Mm-hmm.
may have a screaming child, but as long as they are not in any immediate danger, listen, as parents, we can tune out we know the difference in the cries. We can tune out the
Yeah,
ones we don't have to pay
you can
attention
tell.
to.
Mm-hmm.
Tune it out. Pay attention to your spouse, your partner. How are you? How Don't even get into the how are you, how was your day, but just how are you? Give them a kiss, give them a hug, a smile. Give them that 2 3 minutes of undivided attention. It counts. Even something as simple as, planning your next date. So
Mm-hmm.
realistically, it's going to take a lot for you to get a date night, whether it's a night out or some people love to get the kids out the house so they have the house to themselves. It's going to take planning. All right. You have to set the time, get the babysitters, figure out what's going on. Another high quality connection point is actually just the two of you making a commitment to each other to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, intentional quality moments is what it sounds like, right? Of creating those, of
Yeah.
those connection points, like you said, that aren't about co-parenting. They're not about the household responsibilities. It's like connecting as individuals, as adults. And that makes all the difference because then you get that little spark that you were talking about of like, oh, yeah, I remember I like you. Like, you're who I chose. And like I said, even if it's just on your way to go take the garbage out, you
Mhm.
had those moments where you could connect as individuals. And that's where I think, like you were saying, filling your own cup so that I like to talk about, filling it so that you can give others the overflow. So you're not just depleting yourself all the way down constantly and just being able to recharge your batteries. So how can you have those moments, and those little intentional quality connection moments can also refresh and recharge your relationship. So if you're recharging yourself, then you can show up as your best for your partner, for your kids, for every area of your life. Then you're also able to have those little moments of recharge and reconnection together. So it's important to really prioritize both to make sure that you're, connected with yourself. Because like you were saying, Kim, it's so key to remember that you are an individual, and remember that you can't just pin all of your hopes and dreams and happiness on another person. You really need to, have a community, to have your own interests, to have yourself, to reconnect with that. And sometimes it's easy to lose that, especially as, women in your marriage and parenting, and you're taking care of all the people and all the pets and the house and all of, your career and all of these things. It's easy to get lost in the roles that we play versus who we actually are. And so, refilling your cup can help you reconnect with who are you and what do you like to do yourself, not what does your kid want to eat? What does your husband want to have for dinner? It's like, what do you like? And it's so interesting because when I work with so many women, that's one of the hardest things for them, is to just identify again, what do I like? What do I want? Like, who am I? And we lose that. And so really, when you're looking at self-care, again, not just, bubble baths and getting your nails done or whatever, but what are those things that actually bring you joy? And I remember there were some things that, when I was looking at that, somebody asked me at one point, well, what brings you joy? And I thought, well, this is a problem because I know what it is, but I'm not doing any of those things. And that's when I was getting really burnt out. And so I reevaluated and I said, okay, what are some of those things? And you might have to go far back. You might have to look back before your relationship, or you might have to look back to when you were a kid or a teenager of like, what were the things I like to do? What were the activities? What were the interests? And I have built such an amazing community of friends, of girlfriends, and support outside of just my little bubble in my house of my relationship, by engaging in those activities again and being like, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do some things for me, so then I can come back and we can come back together and we have fresh things to talk about that aren't just about our roles and responsibilities. We can be excited and talk about like, oh, this is what I did with, my interests and my friends, and he can do the same thing. And I know I have to mention, because I saw you just had an anniversary.
Oh,
Right. So happy anniversary. I know you guys are 15 years. Is that right?
yes, it was.
Wonderful. Yeah. And my husband and I have been together for 23. We just celebrated that last month. So yeah, it's one of those things that, like you said, over time, you have to remember these things and remember who you are. And, as somebody who's been a military spouse for so long too, that's one of those things that we're not always together. He's traveled a lot throughout our whole relationship. And, we have been fortunate in that we did maintain that independence of like being individuals and choosing to come together. And so, I had my own interests and my friends and the thing and my, likes and things that I was participating in. And I think that, sometimes when we don't have any time away, when we don't have a dance class that you go to or a book club or, whatever it is that are your own interests, when you just get so caught up and so enmeshed in all the responsibilities in like the day-to-day life, like you said, it can become more of a roommate situation or just a co-parent type of thing. And so I feel like that was maybe one silver lining in all the time that we had spent apart, is that, it kept that going, for me, especially of like, hey, I have these interests, I have these things. And then when we came back together, it was exciting, and we had all the things that we could talk about, of the experiences that we had apart. So it's a unique situation, but I feel like that is a little bit reflected in what you were talking about.
No, absolutely. And again, this is why, although so many of our problems and struggles, other people, you're not alone in it, but your situation is yours, right?
Mhm.
And Jodie, like you described, having that time apart helps you to reconnect when you do come together, that connection is fantastic, because you've gone through the process of missing each other and being excited to be together. Some couples are at a stage where they've probably had too much time apart,
Yeah.
so that now they have to figure out what are the intentional things that they can do to spend time together.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I love about really analyzing, thinking about your own. I don't want to say analyzing, because analyzing sometimes you get
Yeah.
a little too logical
Being
about it.
aware of and acknowledging, maybe a
Exactly,
little more.
exactly.
Mhm.
Being aware and acknowledging what is really the missing piece for you in your relationship. Is it that you have grown bored because the two of you are, there are couples who they both work from home, so they see each other on a regular basis, but the issue they have now is that, okay, maybe they do need to not see each other for a little bit. Maybe and then they also need to create those moments of high quality contact. So it's not just, oh, I'm waving to you from across the room, my computer to your computer. No, maybe it is that they change the room that they're in. It's what's going on for you. If, however, you're finding, like, I know another couple where what's going on for them is that, she travels a lot for work. So they're spending a lot of time apart, and there is a difficult adjustment, because it's like there's one way of thinking when traveling for work, and then there's another way of thinking when back home as wife and mom. And now it's
Yeah,
like,
the transitions, those
yeah,
shifts and roles. Mm-hmm.
then how does that work? So, like, in their case, they do need to kind of focus on, okay, we're apart, this is what we get to do when we're apart, that fills us up, and then this is what we get to do when we are together, and then be excited about those times together, and really cherishing them, and finding activities that build them up together as a couple, and as a family.
Yeah.
And so different people, different circumstances, the same goal though. And I think if you notice, the word that I kept repeating over and over again was that intentional.
Yeah.
We can't get away from it.
Yeah, we
Our
can't just go through the motions,
yeah,
because you have to be really intentional. Like you said, everyone's situation, everyone's relationship, everyone's lives are going to be so unique, but it is that same goal. And that, so I love that you kept bringing that home with that intentional quality connection, how
that is
important that is to create that in whatever your relationship looks like.
whatever it is. And small things, from small things to big things, the saying thank you, but looking at each other when you say thank you, you know, something as simple as you're walking past each other in the hallway, don't push to your side, push into each other instead, brush against each other. Um, you go to the grocery store and you see something that they like, a snack, favorite snack, pick it up for them. Um,
Put the phones down sometimes
put the phones down
and not
sometimes.
just talk to each other while you're on the
No,
phone.
no.
Mm-hmm.
Although, if again, that is a possibility too. It's like, if it's like a check-in, a lunchtime 5-minute conversation.
That's great.
Just
Absolutely. Yeah. Like have just that few minutes. Like you said,
yeah,
when it's the transition times coming home or at lunchtime. Yeah, it doesn't have to take long at all. Just
it
like
does
a
not.
quick
Yes,
check-in, and just to connect.
exactly.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that these are always easy things to do, because sometimes there's a lot of animosity or resentment, and sometimes physical contact just doesn't
Mhm.
feel good, and you want to be separate from the person. But just remember, the longer you stay separate, the more that becomes your normal, that becomes your default, and then soon enough you have no need for each other, because you've built up these walls, you've established a new comfort level separate from each other. So yes, do the little reach out, do the little, brushing of your hand past the person. Make the effort when you're together again at the end of the day to acknowledge each other. It's okay to ignore the kids for 5 minutes if they're not dying. It's fine. It's fine. Pay
And
attention
it's
to each
good
other.
for them to see that, honestly, because you're modeling what a healthy relationship or what a relationship, period,
Oh,
looks like to your kids. And so you taking care of yourself, you connecting with your partner, all of these things are teaching your younger generation that it's okay to take care of themselves and to have their own interests and to be an individual. You're teaching them that it's important to prioritize connection with your partner. You know, all of those things are good for them. They'll be fine. Like you said, I mean, really be intentional because you're showing your partner that they matter and that they're a priority. And you're also showing your kids that, their mom and dad, or whatever your family looks like, right?
yeah,
Because everyone's family, again, unique. And
yeah,
so we want them to be able to see that these people who are their parents, and that they want this unconditional love and acceptance, for have that for each other too. Like, how amazing is that? To not only think about that, because so many people I know, especially women, have a hard time of like, well, I can't prioritize myself or prioritize my partner because I have the mom guilt. And
yeah.
so thinking about it that way of, you filling up your cup and giving the overflow to others means not only are you showing up as your best, but then you're also showing them that that's okay. You're giving them permission to do that. And you're showing your partner that it's not just going through the motions, that you're intentional with them and that you still care about them, even if there's stuff, even if there are issues, even if there are challenges in life.
Yeah,
It's those key moments that can make all the difference.
they do. And I love how you pointed out just now the point about even if things are never going to be perfect. There are always going to be things that are going well and things that need work. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. As difficult as a situation may be, there is something there that is working. There is some glimmer of positivity in that relationship. What is it? Find it, think
Right.
about it, celebrate that. I'm not telling you to ignore all the other things that need work. Like you,
Yeah. Still.
yeah, give it
Yeah.
a little.
Recognizing, acknowledging what is going well is not ignoring what's not, but it's focusing on what you want more of, not what you want less of. And that is really important in those relationships. That, yeah, acknowledging and being aware of the things to work on, absolutely.
Mhm.
And what do you want to move towards in your
Correct.
relationship?
Yeah.
This has been such a good conversation. So Kim, I would love for you to share how you work with people. What does
Sure.
that look like?
Well, it looks like different things for different people, but I'll tell you what it all boils down to. It's helping you identify what is the gap? Like, what are you doing right now to strengthen your relationship? What are the results you're getting from that? Compare that to where you want your relationship to be. How are we going to bridge that gap? Well, we take it literally one step at a time. And that is what working with me looks like, having someone there to kind of help you with that structure for how you show up as the best possible version of yourself, how you become that best possible version, and by result trigger your partner to be the best possible version of themselves. And a lot of ladies come to me like, with my partner, they don't want to get help, they don't think we have a problem, but that's okay. All right, you can't control them, you can't make them change. The only person that you can control or support is, oh, sorry, the person you can control is yourself. So
Mhm.
let's just start with that. Small steps,
Absolutely.
small changes, things that you believe you can do, and then we build on that bit by bit. And that's where the transformation happens. When you change, it creates a ripple effect on everyone around you, and that's where the transformation in relationships happen. um, so if you want to chat with me some more, I hang out on Instagram a lot, Jody. I don't know if you are on
Okay,
Instagram. I
great. I
can't
am.
but
Yeah.
yes, good. That's where you can usually find me.
Wonderful. Go ahead and type into the comments your Instagram, and we'll pop that up for everybody. And then uh, anybody wants to have a conversation about that deeper work on yourself and how you are speaking to yourself as well as to the people in your life, you can absolutely have a conversation as well. So I will put my website up here in a moment, but this is Kim's Instagram. So you can check that out. She's all about the language of relationships, which I love so much. I'm so glad we had this conversation today. And I'm actually speaking this weekend. So I'm going to be speaking for the Alternative Healthcare Solutions virtual health fair event on creating a toxic free life. I'm going to be talking about how to shift those toxic relationship patterns with yourself and with others. So, toxic thoughts, toxic relationships. And I would love for anyone who would like to join us to go ahead and click the link in here. I'm going to give you a code to where you can get in and get replays as well. So I'm going to pop that up on the screen so anybody can see that. You can join that toxic free life event at join-ahs.org/get-started and just use code Jodie. And you're going to be able to get into that event, no cost, which is really exciting. And then if anybody's interested in just exploring more support for your own mental wellness and to help you to, again, speak in to yourself with, more kindness, more care, more compassion to help you heal from some of those past traumas, anxieties, stressors, burnout. I know a lot of us, whether it's work or caregiving, can get really burnt out. And so I do all of those things as well as help you speaking into your children's subconscious mind too, to help them to have the best possible chance at success as well as positive behaviors. So that's always the immediate want, right? But to really set them up with that secure attachment, self-esteem, unconditional love and acceptance. We can definitely talk about that as well. And that you can find me on all the social media channels as well as my website at Psyched Up Success. So you can just go to psychedupsuccess.com. You can book a free consultation with me if you just want to chat. Let me know your situation, see how I might be able to help. Be happy to have that conversation too. So Kim, thank you so much again for having this conversation with me today. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
I suppose the one thing I like to remind people is that you are in control. You do have the power to make changes in your own life, no matter how disempowered you feel at this moment, no matter how much you feel like life just keeps slapping you with circumstances and situations that just bring you down. Yes, you do have that control to choose how you are going to handle it, how you are going to react to it. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy, but you have it. It's there. It's deep inside. It's there.
Yeah. And we can help you figure out how to make that happen and how to be more empowered in that, because you're right, we have way more control than we ever think that we do, to be able to choose how to respond. And it's just a matter of learning and growing in that skill. And so absolutely reach out to Kim with any relationship challenges. Like she said, everyone's going to look differently. And check out our Instagram and make sure to check out all the content there. It's amazing. I've seen it. We both, add a lot of value in our social media. And I think it's good reminders. It's good reminders. And you're just such someone that I feel such trust in to be able to share you with my audience. And so I just really appreciate you being here with me today.
Thank you. You're very welcome. It was my pleasure.
All right. Take care, everyone, of yourself, first and foremost, before everyone and everything else. And we will see you soon. Bye for now.